Welcome to the History Lord channel. You join me here in South Molton Street, just off of Oxford Street and by Lancashire Court and Brook Street over here. By the way, has some of the best Christmas lights in London during the season. But today we're going to be talking about something that's round the corner in Brook Street. That's number 25 and number 23. And we're talking about two blue plaques, one to Frederick Handel, the great composer, and one to Jimi Hendrix, the great rock guitarist. Why are they together? Well, let's find out. George Frederick Handel composed oratorios, instrumentals and operas. His 1741 work, The Messiah, is probably one of the most famous pieces in the world. He produced several operas with the Royal Academy of Music before forming the new Royal Academy of Music in 1727. And when Italian operas fell out of fashion, he started composing oratorios instead, the most famous being The Messiah. He was born on February the 23rd, 1685, to George and Dorothea Handel of Halle, Saxony, which is now modern-day Germany. From a very early age, he longed to study music, but his father, doubting music would be a realistic source of income, made him study other subjects. In fact, his father would not even allow him to own a musical instrument. His mother, however, was very supportive. She encouraged his development in his musical talent, and with her cooperation, he practiced on the sly. And despite his dedication to his music, his father insisted that Handel initially studied law at the University of Halle. Well, surprisingly, or not, he didn't remain enrolled for very long. His passion for music would not be suppressed. It was in 1703, when he was 18 years old, he decided to commit himself completely to his musical endeavours, accepting a violinist's position at the Hamburg Opera. By 1719, Handel was invited to become master of the orchestra at the Royal Academy of Music and the first Italian opera company in London. He eagerly accepted, and he produced several operas with them that were well liked, but not especially lucrative for the struggling academy. It was in 1726 Handel decided to make London his permanent home and became a British citizen. Over the course of his musical career, Handel was exhausted by stress and endured a number of physical health problems. In the spring of 1737, Handel suffered a stroke that impaired movement on his right hand. Many worried he would never ever compose again, but after just 6 weeks of recuperation, he was fully recovered. Not only did he return to composing, but made a comeback playing the organ as well. 6 years later, he suffered a second stroke. By 1750, he'd lost his entire sight in his left eye. He carried on composing though, but by 1752, he'd lost sight in the other eye and was rendered completely blind. As always, his passion was pursuing music, and that propelled him forward. He kept composing and relied on his sharp memory to compensate where necessary. He remained actively involved in all productions until his dying day. It was on April the 14th, 1759, that Handel died in bed at his rented house at 25 Brook Street. The Baroque composer and organist was 74 years old. He was buried a week after he died in Westminster Abbey. During his lifetime, Handel composed nearly 30 oratorios and close to 50 operas. Now, an interesting neighbour for Handel, and a completely different genre of music, is next door, Jimi Hendrix. The guitar legend Jimi Hendrix was born on November the 27th, 1942 in Seattle, Washington. He grew up playing guitar, imitating blues legends like Muddy Waters, as well as the early rock and rollers. In 1959, he joined the Army and became a paratrooper, but was honourably discharged in 1961 after an injury exempted him from duty in Vietnam. It was in the early 1960s, Hendrix worked as a pickup guitarist, and he was a backing guitarist to musicians such as Little Richard, B.B. King, Ike and Tina Turner, and the wonderful Sam Cooke. He moved to New York in 1964, and he played in coffee houses, where the bassist Brian Chandler of the British group The Animals heard him. It was Chandler who arranged and managed Hendrix and brought him to London in 1966, where they created the Jimi Hendrix Experience, with bassist Noel Redding and the drummer Mitch Mitchell. Hey Joe was the band's first hit single, and it got to number 6 in the British charts, and the band became an instant sensation. The Jimi Hendrix Experience in 1967 made their first US appearance, and that was at the Monterey Pop Festival. And Hendrix made a splash by burning his guitar and was quickly established as a rock superstar. During the next 2 years, before the band broke up in 1969, they released such songs as Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, and The Wind Cries Mary. After the band split up, because of what they called creative tensions, Hendrix made his famous appearance at Woodstock, playing a masterful and intricate version of the Star-Spangled Banner. He was one of the most innovative guitar players that the rock world has ever seen. He established a very advanced recording studio in New York, and it was called the Electric Lady, and it boasted the advanced technology of a 46-track recording system. The studio opened in August of 1970, shortly before Hendrix died in Kensington in London in September 1970. It followed a drug overdose. He was just 27 years old. He's now buried in Renton, which is a suburb of Seattle, Washington, his birthplace. Thank you very much for watching today. The reason we didn't do the intro and outro outside the actual building itself is because of all the building works going on around there. They're refurbishing the museum at the moment. Thanks for watching. We do hope you enjoy these videos, and we hope you're enjoying us on both YouTube and on TikTok as well. If you want to see what we do outside of these videos, please go to historylord.co.uk, see about one of my walking tours of London, or have a look. Google, why don't you Google Last Line Films? That's James's YouTube channel and his website as well. Have a look for him. He does very good podcasts too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon indeed. Take care.